fellow parliamentarians. All right, thank you very much. Can we give ourselves a warm round of applause for coming? All right, 62nd edition of the Telecom Consumer Parliament. It is my privilege and pleasure at this time to invite the Executive Commissioner, Stakeholders Management, to please come and give us a welcome address.
My name is Okechukwu Itanyi. Let me observe all protocols. On behalf of the Nigerian Communications Commission, I am delighted to welcome you all to the 62nd edition of Telecom Consumer Parliament. The forum is a monthly event that is held in state capitals within the 6 geopolitical zones of this country. This program was initiated by the Commission for the purpose of bringing together telecom consumers, service providers, the regulator, and other stakeholders under one platform to discuss and profile solutions to topical issues that are of great importance to the development of the telecommunications sector in Nigeria. It is also the tradition of the forum to feature interactive sessions where consumers freely ask questions and service providers and the regulator profile solutions to their inquiries and complaints. One of the topical issues generating interest in the industry today is SIM card registration. Consequently, our theme for discussion today is on SIM card registration, a veritable tool for consumer protection. At the beginning, when Nigeria introduced the GSM service in 2001, the ease at which consumers freely walk into distribution outlets, corner shops, or by the roadside to purchase their SIM cards made it convenient for consumers to buy, use in whatever means, and discard these SIM cards at will and without any sense of responsibility. The simplicity of this process has made it easy for fraudulent, faceless telephone users to commit crimes like kidnapping, robbery, blackmail, identity theft, and many more offenses that are perpetrated using mobile telephones. In an effort to address this menace, that is affecting the security of the country, the Commission, in line with its regulatory functions to protect the telecom consumers as provided by the Nigerian Communications Act 2003, was mandated by the federal government to ensure that all mobile telephone users are registered within the shortest possible period. The SIM card registration process will involve the capturing of photographs and biometrics of subscribers. The whole essence of the exercise is to link every SIM card to the identity of the owner, so that if there are threat calls from a particular SIM card or a crime is committed using a particular mobile telephone, for instance, chances are that the identity of the owner of the SIM card could be traced. The registration process will be in two folds. Existing subscribers will be registered by both the NCC and the service providers within a time frame of 6 months, while all new subscribers coming into the networks will be registered by their respective service providers at the point of sales. At the end of the exercise, it is expected that the country will have a credible central database where subscribers' information will be kept with utmost confidentiality and protection. In our efforts to improve the quality of service and foster competition, the Commission is also planning to introduce number portability, where subscribers can change their network at will while retaining their mobile number. It must be noted at this point that a credible central database of all SIM cards in the country is a basic prerequisite for the introduction of number portability in the country. Let me also mention here that it has come to our notice or our knowledge that those who are registering SIM cards on behalf of providers are charging subscribers a fee before registration. It's important to state that that is not correct. And if we get concrete evidence that any individual or group is doing that, we will take that up with the law enforcement agencies. Registration of SIM card is free of charge, whether it is the one that's being done by NCC contractors or those that are being done by service providers, contractors. It is my pleasure to inform you that the Commission has commenced SIM card registration process all over the country and wish to request for the maximum cooperation of all subscribers, service providers, and other stakeholders in ensuring a successful implementation of this noble mandate. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, once again I welcome you to this forum, and it is my expectation and belief that we will have a fruitful deliberation. Hello, parliamentarians. Hello, parliamentarians. Thank you very much, and may God bless us all. Thank you.
After the welcome address, I think we can now start officially with our parliament. And at this point, we're moving on to the discussion session. And we have a few panelists that I will be inviting on stage. So please, as soon as you hear your name, I will say, just come forward and then you can take one of the seats here. The center seat is reserved for the moderator. Can we please welcome our moderator for today, Mr. Ruben Moka. Please, a warm round of applause for him as he comes forward. You're welcome, sir. While Mr. Ruben Moka takes his seat, may I please invite Damien Uday from Etisalat. As I invite Damien Uday, what's the slogan for Etisalat? Sorry? Can we chorus it once? Now you're talking. Please, a warm round of applause for Damien Uday Etisalat. Now you're talking. Moving ahead, one of our panelists, Ibiebweke Nwandu from Airtel. What's the slogan for Airtel? Feel free to do what? To talk. Feel free to talk. All right, Airtel. Ibiebweke Nwandu, if you're here. Please, a warm round of applause for him. Thank you. All right, all the way from Kpmg. I'm not sure about the slogan, and I'm not sure you might know that. So maybe Mr. Tunde Ogundipe might tell us. From Kpmg. Anyone wants to try? Anyone wants to try? All right, Mr. Tunde, I think the ball is in your court. You'll have to tell us the slogan for Kpmg if you have any.
Yes, we do. The slogan is cutting through complexities.
Cutting into complexities. Please, a warm round of applause for him, please. Lorenzo Gomez from Glow. Rule your world. All right. Lorenzo Gomez, where are you? All the way from Glow. Please, a warm round of applause for him. The next man I'm about to invite on stage is from the NCC, Malam Bashir Idris. Do we have any idea of NCCs? Connecting Nigeria. Well, who else will know if not you, sir? Please, a warm round of applause. Connecting Nigeria. Thank you very much, Mr. Ruben Moka. Well, you should know, actually. All right. This is another nice one. I'm sure we all know this one. Austin Iyashere from MTN. Everywhere you go. So can we have Austin Iyashere, please, on stage? From Starcoms, we have Chuka Obiora. Starcoms, we speak your language. Yes, we speak your language. Please, a warm round of applause, please, for Mr. Obiora. And then finally, our last panelist for this afternoon, we have Engineer Sham Kolo from the Consumer Protection Council. Please, a warm round of applause for him, please. So these are our 8 panelists for this parliament, and I'm sure they will do justice to our theme for today, which is SIM card registration, a veritable tool for consumer protection. I please would like us to listen very, very attentively to this session. This is very, very key. You will learn a lot of things from this discussion. And please feel free to jot down any questions you have, because after the session, we'll throw the floor open for questions. Once again, I say a very big thank you to you parliamentarians. Parliamentarians, thank you very much. I would like to hand over to Mr. Ruben Moka at this point to please take the lead.
Hello, parliamentarians. Thank you very much. Welcome to this session of the Consumer Parliament. As you know, this session is where we x-ray very important issues of discourse in each Consumer Parliament session. The theme of today's discussion is SIM card registration, a veritable tool for consumer protection. And you all know the panelists here, including somebody from consumer protection. But while we talk about consumer protection in this one, it's not just about protecting the product. It is about your security, the security of your community, the security of the nation. So everything is encapsulated in this particular topic today. But let me make a preface before we go around the panelists to ask their views on some of the questions that we have this afternoon. In line with the provisions of the Nigerian Communications Act 2003, the Commission has directed all network operators and the general public that with effect from 28th of March 2011, all consumers acquiring new SIM cards are required to be duly registered before the SIM cards could be activated, while all existing telecom consumers are required to unfailingly register their SIM cards before end of September 2011, after which all unregistered SIM cards will be deactivated. It is actually on the 28th of September 2011 that if your SIM cards are not registered, you will be disconnected from the networks. Now, SIM card registration has commenced. You had the executive commissioner in charge of stakeholder management tell you that all over the federation today, SIM card registration is going on. I'm sure that most of you have registered, but for the purpose of some of the questions arising from SIM card registration, this panel will examine some of them. For the purpose, especially for the members of the media that are here present, we need you to extend whatever discussions we have here today to all Nigerians to know how these distinguished gentlemen have x-rayed the issues surrounding SIM card registration. Thank you very much. Let me just go to the question. I want to know, gentleman from MTN, Mr. Yasere, how important is SIM card registration to the telecom consumers? How do you think it is important to your subscribers and to yourself as an operator?
Good afternoon. First and foremost, I think it's important to know that registration of your SIM card is the final step, the confirmation of your acquisition of a telephone line. What we've had all along is you get a SIM card and you just make calls. You really don't have a firm proof of ownership of that line because there is no legal instrument binding and defining that line as your property. But now we have a law that says you've got to come and register the line you acquire. And once you go through that process, it becomes your own. You can say it is mine if someone else takes it and go through a legal action against anybody who uses that line because the person would have infringed on your right. So I think we are actually getting back to where we should have started from. And it's important that we should drive the registration of SIM cards full blast for everybody's benefit. Beside that, you know how vulnerable the mobile telephone service is to, criminal minds. If you have a telephone line which you cannot identify as your own, you can also not protect it as your own. So it's important that we have an institution, as we now have, that can link you with a line, protect it as your own, and also provide a platform from which you can protect it legally. These are some of the new things I really want to talk about. Some of the other issues we are already very familiar with, and I'm sure a lot of people will need to get to. But I think we should push the angle that it is actually what establishes the line as your property. And we should all go for it that way. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think you heard him very well. This is the time when you will own your line and you'll be identified with your line and your line becomes your identity. May I ask the gentleman from the Consumer Protection Council what just an addition to what he has said, can we think about some other ways that this particular SIM card registration becomes very important to the consumer?
Thank you, Mr. Moka. Thank you, consumers, for coming to listen to this important gathering. In view of the fact that as a consumer, we are all telephone users. We have an handset and we have a SIM card. As NCC has always said, the slogan for this is SIM card registration, a veritable tool for consumer protection. From that point of view, it is very, very important that every consumer, everyone that has a SIM card, must get registered. If not, as a consumer, you will not have a right to use your SIM card, meaning that you cannot communicate after the deadline given by NCC. So we need this in Consumer Protection Council to make sure that the numerous complaints we are receiving from the various users of this service are attended to accordingly. How do we do that? Except we get your SIM card registered, or the informations that are being gathered from the registration of your SIM card, which are going to be used, as you have heard from the commissioner, to trace whatever abuse, whatever, let me say 419 in the language we all know, being passed to you via your service provider to you. So this is a very important tool to get you protected. And Mr. MC has forgotten our slogan in CPC. We are promoting and protecting the interest of every consumer. And in this case, every consumer in this telecommunication industry. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The gentleman from Kpmg, I'm sure that most of you will be wondering what Kpmg, global consultant, is doing here. Kpmg is actually coordinating the service providers that NCC contracted to do SIM card registration across the nation. That is why they are here represented. So may I ask you today, what do you think? I'm still looking for one very important reason why the SIM card registration project was initiated. I don't know if you can discuss it from that perspective.
Okay. One of the reasons, or the reason why the SIM card registration project was initiated is to actually, I think the Executive Commissioner touched on it, is to prevent and block those who hide under, who use mobile phones for criminal activities. Also, I think it's good for the consumers because it allows the consumer, if you lose your phone, you can easily get your SIM replaced. So I think those are some of the benefits of the SIM registration process or exercise.
Let's go to the second question. I want to ask, especially the operators, how long will it take for a consumer to register a connected SIM card, and what are the requirements?
Good afternoon, parliamentarians. It's a very simple process. I'm sure all operators agree with me that it will not take more than 2 to 3 minutes to be able to complete the registration of any subscriber. And sometimes, just like Ruben said, some things can delay that registration. If you don't have the requirements, you're expected to present an ID card, an acceptable ID card. The rest are just your features, your photograph, which will be taken at the point, and your thumbprint. So, but if for any reason you bring an ID card that is not acceptable to the point of registration and you start to argue and so on, those can cause some delays. But it's a simple process that will take just 2 minutes.
Airtel, how long does it take to do your registration?
Good afternoon, parliamentarians. Just like my colleague from Etisalat has said, 2 to 3 minutes tops. And in some instances where you have somebody who is really savvy on the system, because you know that the more you do it, the better you get. You've actually seen people who do it in under 60 seconds. But like he said, it depends on you meeting the KYC agent with all the requirements. And one of the things that also helps is there's some times that you fill a form before you even see the agent. So places where you have to spell your name or spell your surname or your mother's name won't arise because you would have filled out the form beforehand. And all you need to do is look at the form and type in the information and then take your biometrics.
So how long does it take for a subscriber?
Basic 2 minutes or less.
Thank you very much. I am sure that registration also has some requirements. I want to ask Idris, please, what are the requirements for subscriber registration?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I'm sure many people in this room will have been registered. But for the benefit of those who have not been registered and our viewers, there are different forms of identification. This is to ensure that the person that is coming up to register and claim and saying that I'm Mr. Sususu is actually Mr. Sususu. So there are different forms, starting with the international travel passport, driver's license, organization's ID cards, and other ID cards like the driver's license and your company's ID card, your school's ID card. These are veritable instruments. But we also note that there are some groups of people, maybe in the villages, in the far-flung areas, or artisans, or some other group of Nigerians who may not have these forms of ID card. So the Commission has made provision for them to have a means of identification. And that means of identification is a letter of introduction from a community leader, a religious, maybe a church leader, a mosque leader, who will authenticate the passport of that person on the introduction letter. So you can go to a registration point with an introduction letter duly signed with your passport on it by a community leader, a religious leader, or local government chairman. These are the basic requirements that you need to take to the registration centers so that your person is not in doubt. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well spoken. Let's move to another question, and I'm turning to Glo for an answer to this question. How do network operators handle multiple phone users and umbrella centers? Multiple phone users, if somebody is using not just Glo, but other networks, or the people that make phone calls, the business center people, if they approach you to register, how do you go about it?
Multiple user, the system itself, the netbook, has configuration that takes care of multiple numbers. It's not only your number alone after you've satisfied all requirements. I wanted to add what Idris said earlier. You need to have your SIM pack too to come for registration. Because even having all the ID cards, there's no surety that the SIM you are registering is yours. The SIM pack gives you the full legality that SIM is yours. That's one. If I have double SIM, maybe I have, for instance, Glo and any other network, I can register it because the netbook has the facility to register more than one number, which is the alternate number. On the other question on the umbrellas are the PTOs. Before you can even operate a PTO center, you must have registered that line. So, and except the PTO is a registration center, yes, that can be. But the PTO cannot, even if he has 2 or 3 PTO centers, all those lines must have been registered before usage.
I'm talking about people that make phone calls, the people, business center people under the umbrella.
That's what I'm saying. They are the private operators. We call them PTOs.
Okay.
The business centers.
Okay.
Before you can, the business center, don't forget that it's a SIM too. Okay. It's a SIM-enabled phone. I can be there, have an umbrella, have a phone, a SIM will be there. Before that SIM is activated, I must have purchased it from somewhere, from a point. And before I can use, I must have registered it before it becomes operational.
Okay. We have received a lot of questions or complaints from subscribers who are telecenter operators, who said that they are going to register the lines they are already selling, which is to sell lines, to register the lines they are going to sell to people. Have you had that complaint and how are you dealing with it?
No, we don't have that complaint because all our lines are bad. Okay. You cannot, there's no way you will buy a line and it works. You have to register it before it works.
Okay. For the information of consumers, we have received this information that people that do umbrella phone calling business, some of them are eager to go and register all the numbers that they have that they are selling. And we have informed them that they cannot go and register the numbers they are selling because those numbers will belong to the person they will sell it later. It is that person that will go and register the number. So this information should be made clear to people who are operating business centers. Okay, the gentleman from Starcom, what happens in a situation where a subscriber registers in 2 different locations with 2 different names? How do you treat it? The person goes probably with the same number. He goes to Kubwa. He registers as Johnson. Then he carries the same SIM card, goes to Basokoro and registers as Samuel.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Ruben. There is no way at the point of registration right now you can identify somebody who has done a double registration. But at the point of correlation, it will come up. It's biometric. Once the data match themselves, it's definitely going to come up to show that this data belongs to two different names. And what simply happens under such is that the line is bad. But at the point of immediate registration, you might not notice. But the moment the data are uploaded into the central database, it will come up and the line is bad.
Engineer Sham Kolo of Protection Council, I want to know if you have made some observations about how compliant the network operators are to the implementation of this program.
Yes. For now, we made a survey at the beginning, the commencement of the exercise all over the nation. We have our zone offices which we mandated to go around and look at what is happening in terms of SIM card registration. And the reports that we got were very encouraging. The only aspect we frowned at, which I think we raised in one of the forums, I'm not sure exactly which one, the venues for the registration are not very conducive to the consumers. The venues where these machines are located, some of them come, just like your customer service centers that you have in the service providers' premises. Areas for the registration should be at least be given some minimum comfort. Maybe if an elderly person comes, a chair should be provided, or so that the person will not just stand for hours in case he doesn't know what to do. If he's not the smart type, you ask his name 10 times, he will be standing. What's the name of your mother? What's the name of your, things like that. So I think the environment where these machines are located.
Thank you very much. I think this message is being sent to all the operators, including NCC, to tell its contractors or the agents doing the registration that they must provide some kind of conducive environment for subscribers. I'm wondering how far the network operators have gone in creating public awareness and consumer education of the program. Because as much as NCC has done a lot of publicity on this, we still hear complaints that people are not aware. I don't know if the operators are doing anything to contribute to creating awareness about SIM card registration. Glo, please.
Well, on our own part, in trying to mobilize the public to come out to register, we have about 300 people, SIM red casuals on the ground, going around the town, particularly in Abuja, going around the town, trying to sensitize people with our promo bus to tell them to come out and register, particularly for this month of June and all that. Then nationally, the national dailies, we've putting in some instructions into national dailies to tell people the benefits of you coming out to carry out your SIM registrations. Even on Telis too, we are there. So with Globalcom have done a lot in trying to mobilize the public, particularly, to come out, coupled with what the NCCs are doing.
Okay, I don't know if MTN has done
yes,
something.
MTN has engaged in very massive publicity of the program on the television, radio, and newspapers. Besides that, we've taken every opportunity of gathering of people to send in registration equipment, banners, and all that to encourage people to go out there to register. Thank you.
Airtel?
Yeah. In addition to the other two, what we've also done is we've done targeted SMS campaigns to base for the SIM card registration. And in most of the places, what we'd also do is when we target an area, we actually send the address of the registration centers to the people based in a particular area. Another thing we've also done is that some of our contractors, especially those who work in the rural areas, we've actually ensured that they do town criers in the areas before they start work to sensitize the people, especially people who can't read and write.
Let me come more or less the last question. What are you doing to check the incidents of some agents asking for money? This is causing a lot of disquiet in the society. Some registration agents are asking people to pay money. You had the executive commissioner emphasize that it is free. Having said that, what are the operators doing to ensure that this is nipped to the bud?
Thank you very much. Just like when the commissioner was giving his address, he mentioned it, and it's something in my organization that we have not experienced at the moment. The agents we have working for us, our trade partners that are equally involved in the registration exercise with us, they are all trained. They are all well informed of the need for us to have those consumers registered. Because if at the end of the day you don't have your line registered, it simply means we cannot do business. So making extra 100 naira or not invariably is killing our business. So there's no way we encourage it. And should we find out, we'll take appropriate actions.
Thank you. Time is not on our side. I want everybody that will comment on this. I give you 10 seconds to say what you're doing and what you need to do.
Okay, we have not received that kind of complaint, but I recall that at the last Consumer Parliament outreach program in Shagamu, there was a parliamentarian who raised such an issue about one of our Etisalat's agents. We are investigating that, but you can be rest assured that if and when we find that out, we will terminate that kind of contract. But again, this kind of forum is important because the feedback we receive from you is what we will use. If there's somebody here who has been asked to pay money for registering SIM cards, it is important to also say that. That will also help the operators.
Thank you very much. Idris, what are the NCC agents? Have you some command to them or some caution to them about this?
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. I think one of the things we emphasize with the NCC agent is the fact that their banners must also carry the fact that SIM registration is free. So if you go to any of the NCC centers and the banner is not reading that, please let us know. The federal government is paying for this exercise. So no Nigerian is expected to pay a kobo for SIM card registration. So if somebody asks you for money, please move on to another center. Thank you.
I hope one of the operators that said it, you take that information. Please.
Okay, thank you very much. As a form of clarity to what my colleague said, he actually said that it's captured as an alternate line, not a new registration. Then for the people who complain about being charged, what we've done on our own end is ab initio, it's been stated in the contracts of all our agents that if you're caught charging money for this, there's a huge penalty, apart from the fact that we'll stop dealing with you. That's one. Secondly, we also send SMSs on a regular basis to all our customers, informing them that registration is free. And then thirdly, we're in the process of inserting it into our SIM cards, that registration is free. So when you get a new SIM card, you see it written there, that registration is free. Thank you.
Thank you. Kpmg, do you have any comment on this?
I think Mr. Idris has touched on the subject. If you have SIM operator-specific SIMs, you can only register those SIMs at the operators. But the difference is that the NCC-appointed agents can register multiple networks. So if you have MTN, Glo, Etisalat SIMs that you want to register, then and you don't want to go to MTN, Etisalat, or Glo to register each SIM, then you go to the NCC agents. But please do not register MTN SIM at Glo. You're not allowed to do that, and they're not even allowed to do that as well.
Thank you.
Well, let me say that that complaint will be strange to MTN. Our agents are very, very well trained. They know that this is free, but we've also taken time to inform our customers. They know that it is free when they go to our agents to register. I want to assure you that if we were to get such a complaint and we find it out to be true, sanctions are very clear that we visit such agents. Thank you.
Thank you. I think the subscribers should take this cue because they have all said, everybody has said they don't encourage anybody taking money for SIM card registration. So if you see anybody taking money or you go and you are asked to pay money, you report to the police. Well, we are going to round up. The moderator is...
First problem is this. We do not have any confirmation of registration of the SIMs after registering. Now, I have actually experienced something whereby a center of registration says that one of the networks refused collecting the data that was gathered. Meanwhile, thousands of people have registered that day and have no way of confirming or knowing that that data was not submitted. Meanwhile, they think they've already done that. Thirdly, this information that you are collecting is very sensitive. And recently, PlayStation got hacked. What are you doing to at least convince Nigerians that you are going to secure this information? Thank you.
My question goes to, based on the PTOs, the private telecom operators operating as in the commercial centers. Assuming it is used as a fraudulent activities in a business center, how can such be tracked down? Somebody walks in, use a cell phone center, do any business as an illegal activities, telling somebody in a kind of thing. How can someone be tracked? Two, assuming you got your SIM card got lost and somebody used it instantly to commit a crime. Before you call the business centers, Nigerian call centers or maybe customer service, you might call them from 9 to tomorrow. Most times they don't pick. So assuming that person picks, maybe done something at the event, and at the end of the day, by the time you get them and you inform them that, sorry, you lost your SIM and so something, how can such be tracked down? That's my question. Thank you.
This is a very true story. It's not an assumption. Somebody called, and I saved the time and the number of the person. The person called my number, I don't know the number, and threatened my life. That I should do so, which I don't want to mention. How can I get to know of this? I have the number and I have the time the person called me. I saved the number and the time. What can I do to know this?
I'm reading on behalf of Mr. Bala Bello, Executive Director, Deaf Rehabilitation Foundation. He said, on the issue of publicity, is there any set guideline against using sign language to raise the awareness to these disabled consumers, in brackets, the deaf and dumb? Observation shows that this group of people are not targeted in the area of publicity. So what do we do about it?
If we get a particular line for the company and on registration, whose data will be taken? Peradventure, the person's data that is being taken is no longer working with the company. What happens to the line?
The Honorable Special Advisor.
Well, very interesting questions, especially the confirmation that there was registration done. Since now, no process was put in place. So I was just suggesting that the PTOs or the operators can send text from their database to those people who have registered, indicating that it's a confirmation that they have registered. That can follow with publicity that if you don't get that confirmation text in, let's say, 2 weeks or 3 weeks, then go back to that center and revalidate your registration. I think that is one possible way of doing it. The second issue was, when we're talking about the importance of registration, everybody kept on saying this to protect. That's fine. But I wanted to hear something about the responsibility now that you own a line. What responsibility do you now have as an owner of a line since that has been validated? Because that in itself would have legal implications. And when you go to buy certain products in the store, you will sign terms and conditions of contract. In many countries abroad, when you buy a telecoms line, there are those kind of contracts which you have to sign. Okay, now how do we now, reconcile those two issues? Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, Mr. Mokan.
There were several questions about confirmation of SIM card, confirmation of registration. I think it's something I will just answer, and we go to another question because we have had several discussions on that. For instance, the people registering for NCC all over the Federation are not capable of sending confirmation when you register. Some operators do send confirmation when they register. But our decision at NCC, and we are going to make it an information in the next round of publicity we are going to do, is that whether you receive a confirmation or not, don't worry. Because even when you go to register on the operators and they confirm you, at the end of the day, when the data comes to the central database, if there were even mistakes in what you have registered, the fact that they have confirmed you does not mean it has been registered. So we don't want to bother ourselves, and we don't want subscribers to worry about whether they are confirmed, registered or not. Important thing is that take all the requirements to the registration center. Your digital photographs are taken. Your biometrics are taken. Even when you register double, at the end of the day, one will delete the other. So we don't want to begin to promise that once you register, you get a confirmation. We want to play low on the issue of confirmation. Are we together? Thank you. We need to go faster than this because the questions are so many. So we must abridge. I will just ask the question on sensitivity of the information supplied by the subscribers. I want to ask Kpmg what assurances that the information supplied to the operators or the NCC agents are very secure.
But the aim of the exercise is to register your SIM. You can be rest assured that your information is secure, and NCC has made steps to ensure that your information is kept private and is not going to be used for any other use apart from what it has been collected for, which is for the SIM registration exercise.
Fellow parliamentarians, hello parliamentarians. I think this issue is very important. We need to listen. On the security of the data you are supplying, I can assure you the federal government has invested so much into a robust central database. As somebody pointed out earlier on, there is an agency of government that is principally charged with the responsibility of keeping biometric data of all Nigerians. That agency is collaborating with the Nigerian Communications Commission in ensuring that the database we are putting in place have all the necessary facilities to secure the information that is going in. What is going to happen is that once your data resides in the database, there are only going to be very restricted uses of those data, especially for security agencies. If there's a crime committed somewhere, somebody within the security apparatus will have the authority to be able to interrogate the database so as to be able to fish out the criminal. So don't let us delude ourselves that once you put the information there, nobody's going to have access. Yes, some level of high authority, especially within the security system in the country, will have some level of authority to interrogate the database so as to fish out criminal elements. Other than that, you can be sure that those information will not get into the hands of criminals. Thank you.
Thank you. There is a question about somebody being denied, or if somebody walks into a place and is not registered or is refused registration. I don't know if that is possible.
It's only possible, just like I said earlier on, if you have an MTN SIM and you have also a Glow SIM and you go into an MTN center and you want to register the two, it's possible the operator will tell you that you can only register my own. Or you have the two and you go to a installer. You don't have an installer line, but you just go to an installer center. They might refuse you registration there. The only place where you can register any or all of the numbers is the NCC center.
It's possible the person does not have proper identification, because if you walk in and say you want to register and you don't have the prerequisites of registration, definitely you'll be denied.
Thank you very much. The last question here is about the responsibility of the user of the phone. How do you reconcile his benefits with the responsibility entrusted in him by the special assistant? Okay.
I think that's the whole essence of having to register your phone. Now you know you must protect it. If you lose your phone, you must promptly report it. You must ensure that people, unauthorized persons, do not use your phone. Those are some of the things that now sit on you to do to ensure that your phone is used only for good causes. That.
Hello. Let me add something to that, because we've all been looking at the criminality of using the phones. We've not equally looked at loyalty schemes of which every operator practices. If you are a beneficiary of any of the loyalty schemes, you've won something, or there's a compensation the operators intend to give you because of usage of your line, it makes it very easy to identify who you are. And this goes to those who allow already registered SIM to be sold to them. If on any of the promotes being undertaken by the operators, that particular number wins, and you come forward to say it is your phone, of course the picture and the information that will be displayed is definitely not going to be your own. So as we are looking at the criminal aspect of the phone usage, let us equally know that there are equally some financial and the material benefits you equally intend to enjoy if a particular telephone number is identified as your own. Thank you.
Thank you. We will just take one more question. The other questions we will answer after a session of the normal consumer parliament, where you ask questions about several other issues concerning the numbers concerning your services. When we take a round of that, we can conclude with responses to the various questions that were asked. But for now, I want us to just treat the question about what provision do we have for the physically challenged in this registration exercise. The operators, please.
Yes, during the at the initial beginning of SIMREG, when operators were meeting to fine-tune all the process and so on, this issue of physical challenge came up and was addressed. For instance, if you are blind, let us say you are blind and you are deaf, you can still register because you still have your thumbprint and your photograph. Then the other things you can supply in writing. Now, that is for that one, that is taken care of. But a situation where maybe you have a limb, or let's say that two of your limbs are not there, for instance. Once you have a photograph and there is a confirmation that the phone that you have come to register is yours. Of course, you have your SIM certificate. Again, you can have yourself authenticated by either your brother or somebody. Those were the issues we addressed, and I'm sure operators are following all that. I'm sure that there is no physically challenged person who walks into a registration center and said he was not allowed to register for any reason.
I think you concur. Thank you very much. As I said, we have rounded off this session, but these questions will be, the answers to the questions will be provided at the end of the normal Consumer Parliament session. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ruben Moka. Please, can we give them a warm round of applause as they go back to their seats?
Hello, parliamentarians. Please, let's give ourselves a round of applause. I think you'll agree with me that we've had a good session. At NCC, our primary job is to protect the interests of all stakeholders, especially our consumers. Because, as they say in marketing, the consumer is what? Is what? Without the consumers, the operators will not exist. Without consumers, NCC will not exist. It's true that we're a government parastatal, but if our consumers are not happy, then we have a problem. I want to assure you, on behalf of NCC, that we'll do everything possible to improve the situation on the ground for both the consumers, the operators, and all the other stakeholders. It is important for you to guide your SIM jealously. To register your SIM and guide it jealously. Because your SIM is your identity. The SIM is also a scarce resource because the numbers that you have are limited. And that is why the operators recycle the numbers. The numbers are limited. So if you have a number, if you have a SIM card, please go and register and guide it jealously. On behalf of NCC once more, we want to thank you for coming, and we look forward to holding another session in the very near future. Please, if we invite you, oblige us. Okay? Agreed? Will you come again? Okay, thank you very much, and have a wonderful day. Parliamentarians, hello parliamentarians, thank you very much.
Parliamentarians, hi. Now, if I want to tell you, if you have a complaint, first call your service provider, call MTN, call Glo, call any of them. Now, if you are not satisfied with the resolution of your complaint, you have a second level. That is NCC. You can reach us. But before you drop your phone, ask them to give you a ticket number. Because that ticket number will report them to us that you have called them and they did not solve your problem. Make sure you collect your ticket number from them, and then you call our own number. Our number is 0800 2255 622. Call us when they don't solve your problem. Call us when somebody demands fee for you to register. Call us when you are not attended to. But first call your network is only when they've given you the ticket, because when you call us, we ask you for your ticket. So we are reporting them to us that you have called them and they didn't answer you, so you are reporting them to. So make sure you get your ticket. And the second number is 0800 my consumer. It's a longer number, but call it, it will work. 0800 09 266 78637. Please call those two numbers and we'll take it off from there and solve your problem. I hope you have completed your forms. Those of you that were not able to ask your questions, we'll take it, we'll respond to you. And by the time we are coming again, we want to know whether your problems have been solved. So we'll do a review. Thank you. Thank you for coming.